Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Maths Made Easy with Terry in 10 minutes. So we've been looking at several questions on logarithm and exponential functions. So we're going to go dive in and solve more questions on logs and exponent. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is that before you proceed, make sure you've reviewed the laws of logarithm very well. Make sure you've reviewed the exponential function laws very well. Make sure you've reviewed how to solve quadratic equations. We've talked about several ways using factorization, using formula, complete the square method. Anyone, make sure you've reviewed that. And also make sure you've also liked, shared, and subscribed. And click the notification bell so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first person to know. All right, let's pick some questions now and solve. All right, so let's say we have this question here. We have log to base 3 x minus 8 plus log to base 3 x plus 2 is equal to what? 2. All right. So we're told to find x. All right. We're told to find x in this question. All right. So what I would advise, you can pause this video, try and solve it, and if you can't get it, or you got a particular answer, you can come back, play the video, and see if it's the right answer or not. All right. So let's go. So let's start. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to combine these two logs together because they have the same base. I'm going to apply the product law, all right? Where you have, when I told you if you have log AM plus log AN is equal to log AMN. Do you remember this law? All right. So I'm going to apply this law here. So please go back and review the law. So that's the first law, law 1. So I'm going to apply the law here to solve this. So we're going to have log 3. You're going to multiply both of them, and that'll be x minus 8, and that'll be x plus 2 is equal to what? 2. So this is the first law we talked about on logarithm, law 1, the first law we talked about. Then also, we've got this here. The next part as well, I can convert this to index. I need to get rid of this log. And the only way to get rid of this log is to convert this to index. So that is the 13th law, index to logarithm law, law 13, all right? So that'll be 3 raised to power 2 will be equal to all this. So we're going to have x minus 8, x plus 2 is going to give you 3 raised to power 2. So that is the logarithm law, law 13. All right, so the index to logarithm. So go to my playlist and check. You should see the index to logarithm law, which is the 13th law. So please go and have a look at it and make sure you solve that. Then we're done with that. So the logarithm is gone and we're having algebra here now. So what do? So x times x will give you what? You open the bracket. So remember I taught you how to open double bracket in my basic algebra, where I said when you have a plus b multiplying by c plus d, it's going to be a times c to give you ac, a times d to give you what? ad, b times c will give you what? bc, and b times d will give you what? bd. Is that okay? So we're going to apply the same concept here. We're going to open the bracket. So let's open the bracket for that. So you're going to give x times x will give us x squared. X times 2 will give us 2x, minus 8 times x will give us minus 8x, and minus 8 times 2 will give us minus 16 is equal to what? 3 squared is what? 9. So this is going to give us x squared plus 2x minus 8x will give us minus 6x, okay? So this is going to give us minus 6x minus 16 is equal to 9. I take 9 to the other side, so we're going to have x squared minus 6x minus 16 minus 9 is equal to 0. So we now have x squared minus 6x minus 16 minus 9 is minus what? 25 is equal to 0. Okay, now we have this now. What does this look like to you? Quadratic equation. We have x squared minus 6x minus 25 is equal to 0. So the next thing to do is that we then have to take solve for x. And also I told you how to solve for x. You can solve for x either using factorization method, if it's factorized, if you can factorize. If not, you either use the formula method or complete the square method. So if you look at this question here, you can see the value here we are having. This cannot be factorized. So please go back and watch the video series on quadratic equation, the videos under that series. We talked about different ways of solving quadratic equation. So let's solve it. So we have x squared minus 6x minus 25. Now we can solve this using factorization method. So it's either we use the formula method or complete the square method. So I'm going to use the quadratic formula here. All right. I'm going to use the quadratic formula. So please make sure you go back and have a look on how to use the quadratic formula. So if I'm using the quadratic formula, so that means the a here is equal to what? 1. The b here is going to be minus 6. And the c here is going to be minus what? 25. And the formula is minus b plus or minus square root of what? B squared minus 4ac divided by what? 2a. Okay, we have b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So basically you substitute this. So you're going to have minus 6, okay, plus or minus square root of minus 6. So squared. Please, when you're pressing this in your calculator, you have to make sure the bracket is there, all right? So when you're pressing your calculator, you don't write it like this, all right? Because when you write it like this, the calculator is going to put in minus 1 times 6 squared and will give you minus 36. So this is wrong. So when you want to put in your calculator, it has to be in brackets. So it's going to be minus 6 squared. So the calculator will understand that this squared is affecting everything, including the minus. But if you just put it without the square, the calculator will assume the squared is only for the 6. Okay? So if you put it like this, you're going to have minus 6 times minus 6. And this is going to give you what? 36. All right? So please take note when you want to be putting this in your calculator. All right, so let's go on. So put it, so we have minus, we have 4 times the a is 1 times the c is what? Minus 6 divided by what? 2 times what? 1. Okay, so what do you do now? So remember I told you this is plus or minus. So that means it's gonna be either so we have either you have it as minus 6 everything plus square root of minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 uh, times minus 6 divided by what? 2 times 1. And if it's for the, because it's plus or minus, and when you press your calculator for this, it should give you 8.831. Now, you can also have it as minus. So you're going to have minus 6 minus square root of minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 6. You close the bracket, divided by 2 times 1. And when you press your calculator, it should give you minus 2.831. Okay, so that means x can be equal to this or x can be equal to that. But remember I told you that you can't have negative value for quadratic equation. So remember I told you that you can't have negative value for quadratic equation, because if you put negative value here, at the end of the day, you're going to have minus 10. So remember I said you cannot have log minus a to base b. You can't have this, or you can never have log a to minus b. It's not possible. So we talked about this in the video, all right? So if you put minus here, that means this is going to become minus, and that is not possible. So because of that, we're going to reject this one. We reject this answer because it's not possible, and we're going to only accept this. Okay? So we're going to reject this because you can't have what? Negative answer for what? Logarithm. So please make sure you go back and have a look at it, and make sure you reviewed all the videos on logarithms and how to what? Solve it. Okay? All right, let's pick another question. Let's pick something on lean now. Okay, let's pick a question on lean. So let's say we have this question number 2. We have lean x plus 3. Let's say lean equal to lean 2x plus 1. Okay, we have lean x plus 3 is equal to lean 2x plus 1. So this is going to be the under logarithm law 14, the equality equivalent law. This is going to be that because remember I told you on that video that when you have lean m is equal to lean n, you can cancel this out and m is going to be equal to n. So we're going to apply this law here, law 14, to solve this. Okay, so let's go. So we're going to have lean x plus 3 is equal to lean 2x plus 1. So we're going to apply under logarithm. Okay, we're applying law 14. So please go back and have a look at the law. So this is going to cancel that. So we're going to have x plus 3 is equal to 2x plus 1. We collect like terms, take 2x to this side and 3 to that side. So we have x minus 2x is going to be equal to 1 minus what? 3. Then minus x is going to give you minus 2. Divide both sides by minus 1. Then x is going to be equal to what? 2. And that will be the answer for that. So you can see, provided you're using the right law, you should get the right answer. All right. Now let's take it up a bit, take it up a notch a bit. All right. So let's solve this question here. So let's assume we have log. Move this to the side so I can have more space. So let's assume we have log x to base 3 plus log 5 to base 3 is equal to log 3 2x plus what? 3. All right. So you have log x to base 3, 5 to base 3 to solve this. Now remember, although we have this question here, you can't just cancel out the logs, okay? So it's not, you can't just say, oh, because we have logs, you want to apply the equivalent law here, you're going to cancel the logs like this. No. Remember I told you to use this. The equivalent law is that you need to only have just one log on both sides of the equation. So because you have just one log, you can cancel it out now, then m is going to be equal to n. But now you can't do this here because, all right, you can't use it here because you have more, you don't have just one on both sides, okay? So you can't apply that method here. So that means you have to first simplify this one side or the left side so that you can just have one, then you now what? Cancel out. So you have a look at this. So we can combine these two together using product law. So like I said, you can pause it, try and solve it. And after solving it, you can come back and what? You can check. So we're going to combine this. So it's going to become log 3 x multiplied by 5 will be equal to log what? 3 2x plus what? 3. So that means this is the product law. So this is the first law. So if you go to law 1, which is the product law, that's what we applied here, okay? And that will give us log 3 5x is equal to what? Log 3 2x plus 3. Now you can now what? You can now cancel this out. Are you seeing it? Because they are just one on both sides. So this is the log rule. I think law 14. Okay, you can now apply it now. So it will now become 5x is going to be equal to 2x plus 3. You take 2x to the other side, so it's going to be 5x minus 2x is equal to 3. 3x is equal to 3. Divide both sides by 3. And therefore, x is going to be equal to what? 1. And that will be the answer for that. Okay, let's pick one more that have similar principles. So let's say we have this question here. Number 4, we have log x to base 9 plus log 10 to base 9 is equal to 3 over 2. All right, so we have this now. Okay, so like I always say, you can pause the video, try and solve it yourself and see if you get the same answer like I did. So let's see. So I can combine these two together using the product law. So it's going to give me log 9x times 10 will be equal to 3 over 2. So this is what? The logarithm, log 14. Okay. Then it's going to give me log 9, 10x to be equal to 3 over 2. All right. So I can get rid of this log by converting it to index form. So that's the log. That's law 13, which was the index to logarithm law. All right. So it will be 9 raised to the power 3 over 2 will be equal to 10x. So 10x is going to be equal to 9 raised to the power 3 over 2. Okay. So basically, it's this. I can write it here then. So this law, so that's easy for you to understand when you're revising. So this is the law here, law 13. Okay, the index to logarithm law. Okay, then you can simplify this, or you can press in your calculator, but you can simplify this. So using the laws of indices, this is the same thing as saying 3 raised to the power 2, 3 over 2, you multiply. So remember I told you in laws of indices, a raised to the power m, n equals to a raised to the power what? mn. So you can multiply 2 times 3 over 2, and that will give you 3 raised to the power what? 3, 10x. All right. Then you now divide both sides by what? 10. So then we can now say our x is going to be equal to 3 raised to the power 3 is 27 divided by 10, which is the same thing as what? 2.7. So you can see that although it's a logarithm and an exponential topic, but you can see we're applying the laws of indices, we're applying quadratic equations. So that is why it's important that you try and review all those videos and make sure you understand it. So because all those concepts you've learned, you're going to be applying it in other topics as well. Is that okay? So please make sure that you review each of these laws and you know them very well. All right, let's pick up another example here. So let's say number 5. Okay, so let's say we have this question. 2 log. We have 2 log 6x is equal to log 6 2x minus 5 plus log 6 5. Okay, so you can pause this video and try and solve this. Okay, and see if you get the same answer like I will get here. All right, so you can pause it and see if you get the same answer like me. So let's go. So to solve this question, the first thing I will do is that I'm going to try and apply law 14, okay? Law 14, so that I can cancel out the logs because I'm seeing logs on both sides. So when I see logs on both sides, what comes to my mind first is the equivalent law. So I want to cancel out the logs, okay? But in order for me to cancel out the log, there has to just be one log on the left-hand side and one log on the right-hand side, okay? So I have to combine this one here. So I'm going to combine this. So we're going to have log 6. Because it's plus, I'm going to multiply. Okay? This is the product law. So that is under the logs, I think the first law, the product law, where we talked about that I said log AM plus log AN is equal to what? Log AMN. Are you seeing it? So I talked about this, that you can combine that together. All right, so because of that, because they're having the same base, I can multiply what? The logarithm values there. All right, so that is that. So since that is sorted, then we can now have 2 log 6, 2 log x to the base 6. Now I can open the bracket there. So it's going to give us log 6. So remember I told you how to open single bracket in basic algebra, where I have a, b plus c. I told you that a times b will give you ab, and a times c will give you what? ac. All right. So I'm going to apply the same principle here to solve. So we're going to have 5 times 2x will give us what? 10x. 5 times minus 5 will give us minus what? 25. Are you seeing it? Then we have 2 log x to base 6. Now we can't cancel this because I told you for you to apply law 14, you have to have no coefficients on either side. So you can see that there's nothing here and there's nothing there. So that's the reason why we can cancel this, and m is going to be equal to n. But we can't do this here. So we have to get rid of this 2. And the only way to get rid of this 2 is to take the 2 back to x, so that it will now become log 6x squared. So that means the log 5, okay? Log 5. So remember log 5, I told you for log 5 is that when you have log a b raised to the power x or something, it's the same thing as saying x log a b. Does that make sense? You can bring it down. So what I'm doing, I'm reversing log 5. So I'm taking the x back to b. So I'm taking the 2 back here. Is that all right? So the log 5. So you can go back and have a look at log 5. So we have logarithm log 5, okay, and have a look at it. So to see if you understood the concept. All right, so now we have it here. All right, so now because there's nothing in front of the logarithm now, then we can now what? Cancel. Are you seeing it? So then we now have x squared will be equal to 10x minus 25. So this is logarithm log 14. All right, so please go back and make sure you get conversant with all these laws. Then we take all these values to the other side. So we have x squared minus 10x plus what? 25 will be equal to 0. Then we have a quadratic equation here. Then we can now factorize, or you can solve for x. So I'm going to use the trinomial when a is equal to 1. So I'm going to look for 2 numbers that I'm going to multiply. That will give me 25. And when I add, it's going to give me minus 10. And that'll be minus 5 and minus 5, because minus 5 times minus 5 will give me 25. Minus 5 plus minus 5 will give me minus 10. So give me x minus 5 and x minus 5. Okay? So therefore, x minus 5 will be equal to 0. So therefore, x will be equal to 5 what? Twice. Are you seeing it? We got the x equal to 5 twice. And that will be that for that. All right. So let's just pick one more example in this video. All right. Let's just pick one more example and see if we can solve it. So let's pick one more example. So let's say we have this example here. We have log 7 4x is equal to log 7 1 over x minus 6 plus 1. Okay, 1 over x minus 6 plus 1. So like I said, there are several methods you can use here. You can use law 9 if you want to. You can use law 9 here if you prefer. You can also use equivalent law here as well. So there's so many laws you can use, but I'm going to just use one. All right. So you can pause the video, try and solve it, and see if you get the same answer like I will get. Okay. So you'll see and confirm. And if you don't get the answer, that means there's something wrong somewhere, because provided you use the right law, you should get the right what? Answer. So let's go. So the first thing first is I'm going to take, because I want to use law 13 here, the index to logarithm law. Okay. I don't want to use the equivalent law because I think I've solved a lot of questions involving that. So I'm going to want to use law 13 here. So I'm going to take all the logs to one side. So I'm going to take this to the other side. So you're going to have log 7, 4x to base 7 minus log 1 over x minus 6 to base 7 is equal to 1. I'm going to apply the division law here, all right? So we're going to have log 7 4x divided by 1 over x minus 6, all right? So we're going to have the divided here will be equal to 1. So we're applying the division law, okay? So I think that's the second law. That is law 2 on that logarithm, okay? So go back and have a look. So to remove the divide sign, we're going to swap it. We're going to swap the other value here so we can turn this to multiplication. So you're going to have log 7 will be equal to 4x times. So we flip it here. X minus 6 divided by 1 will be equal to 1. Okay, so you can see 4x, x minus 6. So we can now write it as log 7, 4x into bracket x minus 6 is equal to 1. So the reason why I went through this stage, because I want to apply the law 13, the index to logarithm law here. So I'm going to go to a new page. So what we had there, we had log 7, 4x, x minus 6 is equal to 1. So we had log 7, 4x, x minus 6 equal to 1. So I'm going to apply the index to logarithm law. So 7 raised to power 1 is equal to the value here. So that means 4x, x minus 6 is equal to 7 raised to power 1. So that is the logarithm law 13. All right. So please go back and have a look at that. Okay, logarithm law 13. So then we're back to basic algebra now. So we'll open the bracket. So remember I told you when you have a, b plus c, how do you open it? It's going to be a times b will give you ab, and a times c will give you what? ac. All right. So we're going to have 4x times x will give us 4x squared. 4x times minus 6 will give us minus 24x is equal to 7. Take 7 to the other side. So you're going to have 4x squared minus 24x minus 7 is equal to what? 0. And this already looks like a quadratic what? Equation. All right, so we're going to solve this this quadratic equation. So like I said in my video series on quadratic equation, we talked about different ways of solving it. I talked about using the factorization method, the formula method, completing the square method. And under factorization, we had difference of 2 squared. We had common factors, trinomial when a is equal to 1, trinomial when a is not equal to 1. I also showed you how to use the formula to also factorize, okay? So for this question here, I'm going to use the formula method, all right, to make this very simple. So we're going to use the formula method. We're going to use this formula method to find x. So you're going to say using the formula method. So please, you can go back to my video on quadratic equation and try and solve this, all right? And try and review and make sure you know how to solve this. So we have the formula is minus b plus or minus square root of what? B squared minus 4ac divided by what? 2a, all right? So here, the a is equal to what? 4. The b is what? Equal to minus what? 24. And the c is what? Minus what? 7. So we can solve this now. So we're going to put this here. So the value for x is going to be equal to the b will be minus minus 24 plus or minus square root of the b is what? Minus 24 squared minus 4 times the a is 4 times the c is minus 7, all divided by 2 times the a is what? 4. All right. So I told you that for this now, because it's plus or minus, x can have 2 answers. So x can be with a positive, so it's going to be minus 24 plus square root of minus 24 squared minus 4 times 4 times minus 7 divided by 2 times 4. And when you press your calculator for this, it should give you 6.28, all right? Or x could also be minus 24 minus root minus 24 squared minus 4 times minus 7, close bracket, divided by 2 times 4. Now, when you press your calculator, this is going to give you minus something, because if you simplify this, it's 3 minus 1 over 2 root 43. And when you press it, it's going to give you a negative answer minus something. I remember I told you that you can't get negative answer for this. All right. So we reject this. Okay. There's no need of writing the value of the negative there. You reject it because x cannot be what? Negative. The logarithm can never be negative. So because of that, we're going to only accept this value for x. And this is the only answer you will get. Okay. Because if x is negative, it's going to affect the values you're going to have here, all right? And it's going to affect it to a larger extent. But you can also argue that if x is because the negative value you're going to get is going to be very big, and when you multiply this, it's going to give you something else. All right, so yeah, you just try as much as possible to try and make sure you get the right thing. So, but to be very sure, so that you not just be assuming, all right? So what you do, what I always advise is that you need to press your calculator, all right? So let's see. So let's go. So when you press your calculator for this, all right, what will you get? You should get minus 0.2787. Now let's look at it again, because remember, the aim is that we want to be sure that the value you get here, so remember you can't get log of minus a number and a positive base. You can't get this. You can't ever have log, your base can never be negative. It's not possible. And also definitely both of them can never be negative, right? So you want to be very sure. So what do? So our advice, you go back here and have a look. So if you put minus here, you put minus here, minus. So x value can be minus here because if I have minus, so it will be x. So let's say minus something, but because we have also x outside, that's also minus, it's going to make all this positive. Are you seeing it? So because it's going to make all this positive, therefore I'm going to what? Accept. So although the normal inclination you want to do first is, oh, I'm gonna reject this, I'm gonna put because it's minus, but you have to be sure. Look at the question you have, all right, and see, is it possible for this to be what? Negative. If this is negative, I'll put it here because we have x times x, okay? Negative times negative will give you what? Positive. Are you seeing it? So that means you can accept the negative 0.27 what? 8. Is that okay? All right. Okay. So you can accept that. All right. So I want to pick one more question for this, or better still, I'm going to do this in the next video. All right. So I'm going to make another video with other questions on logarithm and exponential, and that might be the last one for this series. Okay. So I'm going to try and bring more questions so that we can solve together. So that is very important for you to try as much as possible to subscribe and click the notification bell so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first person to what? To know. All right. So I'll see you soon, and I will see you in the next what? In the next video. See you soon.